southeast Missouri in July of 2005, and I think it was a couple months after that I was over in Piedmont and met, and I think we may have had lunch with Harold Ellinghaus, and Harold brought out some old news clippings and wanted to show me about some old. They may have been from the 50s, about work on Highway 34 from Piedmont to Patterson, and it needed to get done, and it had been talked about for a long time, and talk's is cheap. And it doesn't mean anything, and we weren't able to pull it all together and make it all happen that summer. But I always kept that conversation in the back of my mind, and when the President signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, that was the opportunity that we'd been waiting for. And I tell you what, it took a community effort of the folks that live along the corridor, the county commissioners, the mayors, lots of support for the project, and a lot of hard work on our staff, and certainly some flexibility and some work with federal highways, and the way we pulled this thing together this quickly. But we knew a need. We recognized who we worked for, the taxpayers of the state of Missouri, and we got a project. And I'm pleased to say that we broke ground in the fall of 2009, and here we are in the spring of 2011, 6 months early and $150,000 under budget, and I think we've delivered a great project. And so that's just a good thing. It's just a reminder to me that when there's a need there, Harold, we're going to try to do better and not let them take 60 years to get them accomplished, but we're going to keep working on them. And you know what? I'm pleased that you and I are standing here together when it's done.
It's a great honor.
So that's a good thing. So thank you for coming out. We've got a few folks that want to say a few words, and I'm pleased to introduce a good man, and I think a great presiding commissioner. I know we've been doing a lot of work in Wayne County with 67 and 34, and just a partnership with Wayne County that we work together and we get what's done and what's right. And I'm pleased to introduce Presiding Commissioner Brian Polk.
Well, I want to personally thank everybody for coming out today. We're lucky it's not raining. This is much nicer than the last ribbon cutting we had, which was in December or January on a bridge in the middle of a blizzard. But anyway, we want to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to share something real quick that Representative Gail Kingery said. We had a ribbon cutting on the first phase of 67 down on the Wayne and Butler County line. And I don't think you'll care if I use this, but it's real simple. What a great day. I mean, here we are. Here's a project that we thought would never happen, and we're here today to reap the benefits. The safety and the economic benefits will continue for years and generations, hopefully, and you know, our families and our children's children will be able to use this, and it's just, I can't say enough about it. I want to thank everybody involved. MoDOT individuals. If I start naming engineers, I'll skip people, but can't say enough. Mr. Ellinghaus, Mayor Kirkpatrick, I've told this story before, but we serve on the Transportation Advisory Committee, and we got this project pushed to the forefront, and I think Bill Robinson would say that we were relentless in our pursuit to proceed with it, and here's the finished product. And anyway, truly honored to be able to stand here before you today and see the fruition of this project. And I don't see this as an ending, but it's kind of a beginning. Wayne County's blessed right now. This project is completed, this section. 67 is scheduled to be completed this year, I guess, hopefully, at the very latest, the start of next year. And we're going to continue with Highway 34 East. So just give you a heads up, you better be prepared. prepared because that's where we're going.
We're ready.
All right. Well, thank you all again, and appreciate you coming out. We got Mr. Kevin Ward from the Federal Highway Administration. He's going to say a few words, and he actually has some roots back to this country. So, Kevin.
Thank you. It is wonderful to be back. I don't get down here near enough. I think someone asked me when I walked up how much do you get down to Piedmont, and I did grow up here. I graduated from Clearwater High School in '87. Went to Mizzou, and then went off and traveled all over the country the last 20 years working for Federal Highway. It's fortunate. It's very fortunate for me to be able to come back to Missouri. To be able to come back to your home state's a pretty big deal with the federal government. But it's a wonderful thing to be able to come out here and help open up this great stretch of roadway. I have some prepared remarks, but I'm just going to put those away because this particular road has I traveled this many times, obviously growing up, but it means something personally to me to see the safety improvements done out here. I had a friend when I was in high school, was in a bad car wreck just down the road here, coming down the hill. The vertical curvature and sight distance of the roadway had something to do with that, and it's really wonderful to be able to come back and be able to be a part of opening up the improvements that have been done to 34. And I hope we can do a lot more of that in the future. I think most of you know the President has put forth his budget for his proposal for 2012, and it's about a 48% increase in transportation funding at the federal level. There's not been an identified way to pay for that yet, so it doesn't mean a whole lot until we actually find a way to pay for it. But that's a good thing that we have a president that is definitely in support of transportation, understands how much transportation means to the economy and putting people back to work. And this is what the ERA program is about, the Recovery Act program is about, putting not just about getting badly needed projects to construction, but also about putting Americans back to work. And again, that's I think a wonderful thing that we've been able to be a part of that, and I've been able to be a part of that. Even though I didn't have anything to do with the design or the construction, it's nice that I helped to I get to help write a check to help pay for it. So again, thank you for the invitation to come down and speak. I really appreciate that, and I'm just glad to be back in Piedmont. Thanks.
Next, we're going to hear from Bill Kirkpatrick, the Mayor of Piedmont.
Hello, y'all. It's a good day in the Lord today. I just hope that He doesn't show His power too much tonight with these storms coming. This highway is truly a godsend, not just for Piedmont, but Wayne County. Certainly with the 67 coming through too, it'll open up a safer, more beautiful trip to Piedmont, which we're in kind of a rebuilding phase with our infrastructure, and it's rather hard to keep the industry going in this country. Not only the ones we have going, but the opportunities to we all have memories of this highway. I remember the narrow bridge here that was about a 1 3/4 lane bridge, many tails, flapping mirrors, and near misses. It's just truly a blessing to have a safer highway coming up. I remember Mr. Ward growing up. He just lived down the street from us, and he was a smart kid then, and he obviously grew to great heights. And I thank him for all he's done for us. And I'd like to take this opportunity to, there's many to thank, but I'd like to especially thank today former Mayor Galen Watson, which the hard work he did not only on this highway, but the Greenway, which we're going to utilize with the Chamber to grow the city, to bring more people in, to bring revenues in, not only for the city, but for the county and their economic woes. Hopefully, the economies will lift up and we'll come through it unscathed. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Next, we're going to hear from Robert Gale. He's the past president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I believe the vice president. Somebody's got to do it.
I don't know that I could offer up anything more than what's already been offered. I would like to take the opportunity, however, to thank all of these people and so many more that aren't present today over the years that have worked tirelessly to get this road improved. This road has always been the lifeblood of this community, and this road, the improvements to this road, are going to be the future of this community. And I think we're going to see great things happen in this community just because of this road right here, not to mention 67. So, you know, on behalf of all the citizens and business people of this community, I want to thank all of you and everybody else involved in this project. And for the future citizens of this community, I would like to thank all of you. Thanks.
Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Harold Ellinghaus. He's the publisher of the Wayne County Journal-Banner.
Good morning. This is a great day in Wayne County because we're celebrating the repair of this 15-mile stretch, which we all travel many, many times, and it's the lifeline to Piedmont and our way to get out to the world at 67, which will soon be 4 lanes. Since Highway 34 has touched my life so much, it's a privilege to make comments about it on this occasion. My father and mother moved their family from Greenville in a neighbor's big truck over Highway 34 to Piedmont in 1951, and I've traveled Highway 34, this 15-mile stretch back and forth to Greenville to the county seat, north and south to doctor's appointments. I've been over it many times, just as many as you have. I also enjoy now going to work each day on a 3-lane section I go out of County Road 340 on the Highway 34, which is 3-lane all the way to Piedmont. I live about a mile east of the town, so, and it's very makes me feel good to know that I can pull up, get ready to turn off, and a car's not going to come over the hill and rear end me, because the way it was before, I live in a valley between 2 hills, and I was scared every time I stopped to turn off. And also when I turned back on the road, somebody was coming. Citizens of Wayne County have been working on Highway 34 to get it improved since 1945. There's been a lot of people involved in that. In 1945, that's 67 years ago, we're finally getting it done. And as the engineer said, 50 years ago we had published in the newspaper a 50-year ago column, and we mentioned that Roy McGee Sr., there was Roy Jr. as well. Roy Sr. was an attorney here who later became circuit judge. He was a delegate for Wayne County to a meeting to improve Highway 34, and he went to Marble Hill to a meeting. That was about 55 years ago, I guess. I became involved in the Chamber of Commerce in the 1970s and served as president, began to look for ways to bring jobs to Piedmont. I soon learned that Piedmont was a great disadvantage because the industry did not want to drive over a crooked Highway 34 for 15 miles to get from Highway 67 to Piedmont. I've worked since then to do what I could to get Highway 34 improved. Besides Roy McGee, I have another person that I'd like to mention that's worked on Highway 34, and that's Bill Barker, who lives in Piedmont. He's a retired manager of Brown Shoe Company. He served as president of the Piedmont Chamber of Commerce, and he formed a delegation to go to Jefferson City, got a setting with Governor Carnahan, and 4 civic leaders went up there to push for Highway 34. Those 4 people were Bill as president of the Chamber of Commerce, Marvin Bowes, presiding commissioner, myself as publisher and president of the Wayne County Industrial Development Authority, and Jim Turnbow, a businessman and pilot. Jim flew us up there. Meeting with us with the governor was State Senator Jerry Howard and Representative Bill Foster. Also in the group was 2 engineers from the Highway Department. One of those engineers was the Preliminary Studies Division engineer. We learned from the governor that in order to have Highway 34 improved, we had to have an environmental study. We also learned from the governor that the District 10 office had money to do an environmental study. It wasn't long after our meeting in 1997 that an environmental study was completed. Bill Barker did a great job as chamber president. We had his picture on the front page of the newspaper with the governor. This is the 1997 issue, and I wasn't sure of the dates of that. I called Bill, asked him if he'd have to have a copy, and sure enough, he did in his files. He could find it easier than I could in the newspaper. So we've got a picture of the governor, Bill, talking in Jefferson City. The governor was sympathetic to our needs because he's from our area. As you know, he's buried in Wayne County now, and he said it was one of the big needs in Wayne County to get that highway completed. So he was very helpful to us. Shortly after, or about 10 years ago, the Regional Planning Commission started using the TAC Transportation Advisory Committee, and I've been fortunate to serve on that committee for several years. And Brian Polk is now serving as chairman of that committee, as well as Bill and the other mayors in the county. I serve as an at-large member, and as Brian said, we got Highway 34 named the #1 need in the 5-county district. And shortly after that, stimulus money became available. District 10 and our district engineer went to work for us and put this project at the head of the list for the money that they had available in District 10. And we need to thank Mark Shelton and all of his engineers at the Jackson office for their efforts. They did a great job of surveying, buying land, working with contractors, and we have a great, safe highway today. We need to thank each one of those here today. I'd like to thank Mark and all your group. Thanks for your help. Like Brian said, we're not done yet. We're working on Highway 34 East, and it's a #1 priority now. So all we need to do is find money. Thank you.
Like Harold said, there's literally been hundreds of people down through the years have worked on this project, and we're just blessed to have it. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Dean Finch, who's the president of the Patterson Community Center.
I would like to thank the Transportation Advisory, the Ozark Regional Foothills Planning Committee. This road has been, since I've lived in Wayne County, has been a treacherous road, I would say. I worked several years as a deputy in Wayne County, worked several accidents on this highway. This is a godsend for this highway to be completed. Looking forward to 34 East being completed because there were several of them over in that area. Also, I would like to thank the workers on this highway that was out here day after day, basically putting their life in danger because of the traffic. People going to and from work. It's a dangerous situation. Not only that, as being the president of the community center in Patterson, you know, we're in between, so it helped us on both ends of the road. But it was something that needed to be done. It needed to be done a long time ago, and I'm proud that it's done now. Not only that, I also had the opportunity to be a part of this road in doing it because I work for SEMO Ready Mix, and we also delivered concrete on this road. So I got to be a part of that also, and it was a great pleasure. So I would like to thank everyone involved in this, and Brian, I thank you, and thank you all for inviting me to speak at this function. Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to hear from Miss Linda Lunyu from the Wayne County Historical Society.
As you know, our Wayne County Historical Society motto is those who preserve history are as important as those who make it. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of the program today. I'd like to give just a little history on our roads. In 1871, the railroad came through Piedmont, and what roads we had at that time were just animal trails and Indian trails, and the wagons could hardly even get by them. According to Kramer's book in Wayne County, Missouri, in 1913, the Missouri General Assembly created the State Highway Department. In 1916, the Federal Highway Act allotted money to the various states for roads on the basis of area, population, and postal road service mileage. To take advantage of the federal money, the Missouri legislature passed the Hawes Act in 1917, creating the State Highway Board and hiring a highway engineer. Certain county roads were then designated state roads. In 1920, a $60 million bond issue was passed using the slogan, "Get Missouri out of the mud." In 1924, the voters approved of a 2-cent a gallon gasoline tax to finance the roads. Wayne County's first hard-service road was built between Patterson and Piedmont, as I understand it, basically where the present road is today before the improvements were made. The road prior to this road was called the Cape Girardeau to Springfield Road, and it went through this area just north down here, went on west into Piedmont. The area where the Johnson feed store now stands was nothing but a swamp during the wet weather. My father, Elmer Waits, and also Mr. Peck Croy told me stories of this, and he told me that sometimes the mud was so deep you couldn't get a team of horses and a wagon through it. All the roads were very rough and unsuitable for the new way of traveling, which was the newly acquired automobiles. For an example, Mr. Joseph Berryman bought a car around 1914 and traveled down the Otter Creek Road, which is now V Highway, going to Poplar Bluff. Because the roads were so rough, the Berrymans returned home on a train and had the car shipped by rail. How we take things for granted today. We now drive to St. Louis in 2.5 hours. Back then, the road conditions were so bad that it took longer just to get to the railroad depots than it did to make your destination. The road built in 1921 served the purpose well at the time, but this was 90 years ago, and the improvements which have been made today are much appreciated, both from a safety standpoint and the general improvements of the condition of this highway. Thank you all so very much.